The Secret of Secrets Part 2 The Signs and Signs of the Shift. The Signs of the Shift. In March this year, two American scientists, Jonas Murieka and Dejan Stokovic, proposed a radical hypothesis in which they suggested the early universe contained fewer spatial dimensions than the three we see today. Known as the vanishing dimension hypothesis, they suggested that immediately following the Big Bang, the universe had only one spatial dimension plus one dimension of time. In other words, the extremely hot universe of that period was only a line. According to them, at some point as it cooled, a second spatial dimension appeared and it became a plane. Then, after further cooling and expansion, at some point the third dimension of space also appeared and it became the four-dimensional universe as we see today. And interestingly, it also proposes that sometime in future, our four-dimensional universe could even shift into a five-dimensional universe consisting of four dimensions of space and one dimension of time. This hypothesis resolved many problems in cosmology, such as the universe's accelerated expansion, incompatibility between relativity and quantum mechanics, dark energy, Higgs boson, etc. There was also some experimental evidence supporting their hypotheses. However, the scientists were unsure when the shift from a lower dimensional universe to a higher dimensional universe occurred. They suspected that it had to do with the energy levels passing a threshold. While I think that this hypothesis is perhaps the most elegant and satisfactory explanation of the evolution of our universe and even its possible future, I would like to propose an alternative as to how exactly this shift from a lower dimensional to a higher dimensional universe is triggered. I am not convinced that it is the energy levels of the universe that determine when a dimensional shift occurs. While a dimensional shift is a universal phenomenon, that is, it takes place simultaneously over the entire universe, energy levels are localized and vary from region to region. Hence, energy levels triggering a universal shift is unlikely. I think a universal shift from a lower to a higher dimension is triggered when the expanding universe closes in on itself and merges with the higher dimensional space that it encloses. For instance, a two-dimensional, that is one space plus one time, line universe expands in both directions. But there are minuscule imperfections to its trajectory of expansion. These imperfections ultimately contribute towards a curvature to this expansion, and eventually the two ends of this line universe meet. It is at this point the line universe merges with the closed three-dimensional space, that is two space plus one time, space that it now encloses and spontaneously upgrades itself to an additional spatial dimension. Needless to say, all matter within it also becomes three-dimensional, since at the most fundamental levels, matter is just a manifestation of space, like the waves in an ocean. It would be worth noting that even string theory predicts 11 dimensions to space-time. The 7 extra dimensions of space are too tiny and curled up in our present universe to have any impact. So a shift to a higher dimension would involve one of the curled up spatial dimensions becoming suddenly unwound and manifest. The expansion doesn't stop here. The planar universe thus formed again continues to expand. Again, the expansion curves in on itself and the planar universe merges with the four-dimensional space, that is 3 space plus 1 time that it encloses. And the spontaneous upgrade to our current four-dimensional universe happens. We are at this point now, and our four-dimensional universe has been observed to be expanding, and the expansion is known to be accelerating. As in the previous instances, this expansion will at one time in the future close in on itself. The extremities of our universe will all come together. It is then that our spontaneous shift into the fifth dimension happens. The signs of the shift. I am not going to address the question as to when exactly this will happen, since I do not know. 1 billion years in the future, 1,000 years in the future, 2012, maybe. But I think the one consciousness that inhabits the deepest fold of our being, that is exactly same in you, me, and everyone else, knows of this moment. It is now communicating to us through innumerable signs to prepare us for our future. Therefore, I think the shift is imminent. It will happen in our lifetime and in the blink of an eye. And what are these signs? One of the most enduring signs of the shift is the Ouroboros and its many variants prevalent in almost every ancient culture, ranging from the Egyptian, Indian, Mayan, Aztec, alchemy, Norse, Greek, and Gnosticism, to name a few. Yes, these signs have been there for ages, but only now their message is being revealed. There have been interpretations to it being a representation of the cyclical nature of the universe, which is also true. The shift ultimately is cyclical in nature, ascending through worlds of higher and higher dimension before everything collapses back to a point of zero dimensions, where even time does not exist. And again the cycle starts anew. The Ouroboros is clearly a spectacular representation of the shift. The extremities of the serpent that represent the universe meeting at a point, triggering the universal ascension to the next higher dimension. Even at the most mundane levels of our existence, this transition is represented in the wedding ring that is worn on the day of marriage, which marks the transition of an individual's life from being single to becoming a couple. The light-filled diamond at the center of the ring is the meeting point, the point of the shift. The other signs are the crumbling of the old hierarchies and paradigms that is happening all around us, the earth and solar changes that are happening at this very moment, the many secrets that are suddenly being revealed. The shift and after. Will we survive the shift? If so, will we be the same? And what would life be like in the five-dimensional world? We will certainly survive the shift, since we essentially are immortal beings. To be more accurate, we are the creator and the created. We are all the gods that have ever been imagined. We are one, a single immortal being having 7 billion experiences. So there is nothing to fear. Let it go with the flow. Realize this truth, for it alone will liberate the I that is in you. In 5D universe, our form will be completely different. We will be much less dense, even now a part of our intangible selves, like the mind and thoughts, reside in higher dimensions. In 5D universe, our minds will still be in higher dimensions and hence still be intangible. But it will be far easier to communicate mentally. In fact, all communication will be mental. Compared to the current world, the opening up of one more spatial dimension will render our freedoms to be multiplied many times over. Abundance would be the norm, and our light-filled forms will have the capacity to manifest. Our food would be light and nothing else. We will still have a lighter DNA, though composed of carbon-7, that can directly interact with and absorb light. Carbon-7 in the 5D universe will be stable. Money and technology would be redundant and hence meaningless. Will every single person in the current world ascend, you ask? It is a difficult question to answer, since it is a choice of the individual to merge into the lighter realm of 5D or to continue his addictions which he or she refuses to let go. Although this universe will cease, there are multiple universes of 4D and lesser that is willing to accommodate such souls and let them continue their addictions. How then can one guarantee a place in the 5D world? Realize that there is no separation between you and anyone else. Love others and thus love yourself unconditionally. Serve without thought, intention or pretension. Be simple. It is an indescribably beautiful world that awaits us. We would be beauty manifest. Let us prepare to ascend.